The storm hit just as Emily stepped onto the old wooden porch. Lightning cracked through the sky, revealing a shadow behind her. She froze, sensing something was terribly wrong in the house she once loved. A faint whisper drifted from the hallway, carrying a name she hadn't heard in years. The air felt heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding secrets too dark to speak aloud. Her phone buzzed with an unknown number, vibrating like a warning she was too late to heed. Emily pushed the door open, heart pounding, knowing this night would change everything. Emily stepped into the dim foyer, her breath shallow as the door groaned shut behind her. The smell of dust and forgotten memories clung to the air. She wiped rain from her face, trying to steady her trembling hands. The house felt colder than she remembered, as if time had frozen inside its walls. Her footsteps echoed softly, carrying a loneliness she had never known before. She glanced toward the staircase, noticing a faint light flickering at the top. The bulb shouldn't have worked after all these years, yet it glowed like an omen. Emily hesitated, but the whisper she heard earlier tugged her forward. Her childhood memories rushed back in fragments, sharp and unwelcome. She remembered laughter that had filled these halls before everything fell apart. She remembered the argument that had driven her away the night she turned 18. Her father's voice had been loud and broken, but his eyes were the part she feared. She had promised herself she would never return, yet here she was again. Rain hammered against the windows, sealing her inside with the past she avoided. Emily reached the first step, feeling a chill creep across her spine. The light upstairs flickered again, as if urging her to move faster. A framed photo on the wall caught her attention and stopped her mid-step. It was a picture of her family taken before everything changed. Her mother smiled warmly in the center, but the glass over her face was cracked. Emily touched the crack, wondering when it had appeared and why it targeted only her mother. Her hand shook as she pulled away, unsettled by the small but cruel detail. She climbed the stairs slowly, each creak echoing louder than the last. Halfway up, she heard the whisper again, closer this time. It sounded like someone calling her childhood nickname, soft and trembling. No one alive knew that name anymore, at least no one she wanted to remember. Emily's heartbeat thudded in her ears, drowning out the storm outside. At the top of the stairs, she found the hallway darker than before. The light that guided her had stopped flickering and now glowed steadily. A shadow moved at the end of the corridor, dissolving before she could react. Her skin prickled, every instinct telling her to run, yet she stayed rooted. She forced herself forward, counting each slow step with silent determination. One door stood open, the guest room that had always frightened her as a child. She remembered refusing to sleep near it during storms long ago. Her father had laughed and called her dramatic, but her mother never did. Emily paused at the doorway, gripping the frame to steady herself. The room smelled of damp wood and something faintly metallic. A single chair sat in the center, turned toward the window as if someone waited. Her breath caught when she noticed a slip of paper resting on the seat. She walked toward it, every step heavier than the last. Rain streaked the glass, casting long shadows across the floor. Emily picked up the paper, heart pounding as she unfolded it slowly. Only 4 words were scrawled inside, written in her mother's handwriting. The message chilled her more than the storm ever could. It said she was not alone. Emily stared at the note, unable to breathe as the familiar handwriting tightened around her mind. Her mother had been gone for years, buried under a sky just as stormy as tonight. The words felt alive, pulsing with something she didn't want to understand. She folded the paper carefully, afraid it might crumble if she blinked too hard. The chair creaked behind her, though she hadn't touched it. She spun around, pulse surging, but the room remained still and empty. The silence thickened, settling over her shoulders like a heavy blanket. Emily forced herself to step back into the hallway, gripping the note tightly. A soft thump echoed from her old bedroom at the other end of the corridor. She knew that sound too well, a rhythmic tapping she had heard in childhood nightmares. She walked toward the room, each step dragging as if the floor resisted her. The door was slightly ajar, trembling with the vibration of another soft tap. Her hand shook as she nudged it open, revealing the familiar space inside. The room looked untouched, frozen in the exact moment she had fled years ago. Posters still clung to the walls, their edges curled and faded by time. Her old bed sat neatly made, though she hadn't slept in it for over a decade. The tapping sound came from the closet door, slow and deliberate. Emily approached it cautiously, feeling her chest tighten with every echo. The tapping stopped the moment she touched the doorknob. A whisper seeped through the crack, fragile as breath against cold glass. It spoke her name, but not the nickname from before. This voice sounded older, heavier, and filled with regret. She opened the closet door a few inches, enough to see darkness swallowing the space. Dust floated in thin streams, stirred by the movement of her trembling hand. She reached in and felt a cold draft brush against her fingers. A small box sat on the floor, wrapped in the same ribbon she remembered from childhood. She hadn't seen it since the night she left, when she had thrown it across the room. Her mother had begged her to keep it, but she refused, too furious to listen. Emily knelt and picked up the box, the ribbon stiff with age and neglect. She unwrapped it slowly, afraid of what she might find inside. A thin layer of folded letters filled the small space, edges worn and yellowed. Her heart clenched when she saw they were all addressed to her. Each letter carried dates from years after she had run away. Her mother had written to her even when she never replied, never called, never returned. Emily unfolded the first letter, hands trembling with guilt and longing. The ink had blurred slightly, but the message remained heartbreakingly clear. Her mother apologized for everything and begged her to come home someday. Tears blurred Emily's vision, dripping onto the fragile paper. The second letter mentioned someone watching the house at night. Her mother wrote that she felt unsafe, but didn't want to scare Emily. The third letter warned that the shadows moved differently whenever Emily's name was spoken. Emily dropped the papers, breath escaping her in a broken gasp. A cold draft slid across her neck, as if someone leaned in close behind her. She turned sharply, but no one stood in the room. Only the darkness shifted, almost as if it stepped back out of sight. Emily clutched the letters to her chest, overwhelmed by fear and sorrow. She whispered into the empty room, asking who else was in the house with her. The storm roared in response, but another voice answered beneath it. A voice far too close and far too real. Emily froze as the voice lingered in the room, cold and unmistakably human. It whispered her name again, slow and deliberate, as if savoring each syllable. Her breath caught, chest tightening, mind racing through memories she had buried. The letters slipped from her hands, fluttering like frightened birds to the floor. The shadows in the corners stretched, twisting unnaturally as if alive. Emily's instincts screamed at her to run, but something deeper rooted her to the spot. A sudden slam echoed from downstairs, shaking the walls and rattling the windows. Her heart thundered, pounding against her ribcage like a trapped animal. She crept toward the bedroom door, hand brushing the frame with trembling fingers. The hallway outside was darker than before, shadows pooling at her feet. A whisper followed her, circling, teasing, carrying a sorrowful weight. Emily felt cold fingers brush her shoulder, though no one was there. Her phone vibrated violently in her pocket, startling her with its unexpected presence. She pulled it out, the screen lit up with a single word. Emily. No number, no message, just her name flashing in harsh white letters. Her vision blurred with tears as she dropped the phone, shattering the silence. Footsteps echoed from the staircase, heavy and measured, moving closer with each second. Emily backed into the wall, trapped between the door and the growing darkness. She could hear whispers multiplying now, overlapping voices she didn't recognize. Some were familiar, tender, others cold and sharp like broken glass. A shadow flitted across the floor, darting between walls and corners. Emily's hands shook as she reached for the closest lamp, desperate for light. The bulb flickered violently, then exploded, plunging the room into blackness. A low, guttural sigh vibrated through the air, pressing against her ears. Emily stumbled backward, hitting the edge of the bed with a painful thud. She scrambled for the door, but it slammed shut before she could touch the handle. The whispering intensified, circling her like a predator playing with prey. Her eyes strained, trying to pierce the darkness for a hint of movement. A cold hand gripped her ankle, pulling her to the floor with a sudden force. She screamed, kicking and clawing at the unseen presence holding her down. The letters from the box scattered across the floor, catching the dim light from outside. One floated toward her, landing softly against her chest as if guiding her. Emily hesitated, then opened it with trembling fingers, revealing another note. This one read, "Trust no one, not even me." Her stomach churned, heart racing faster than her mind could comprehend. A shadow rose in the corner, taller than any person should be. It moved toward her silently, absorbing what little light remained. Emily pressed herself against the far wall, trying to make herself smaller, invisible. The whisper came again, directly into her ear, chilling her to the bone. "I've been waiting for you," it said, voice both familiar and terrifyingly wrong. Her breath caught, tears streaming down her cheeks, as the realization hit. The presence wasn't just watching, it knew everything about her. It had been inside this house, inside her life, long before she returned. Emily's hands shook uncontrollably as she struggled to stand. The shadow advanced slowly, deliberate, savoring the fear it created. She glanced at the window, rain lashing against it, but escape seemed impossible. The whispers became a chorus, voices overlapping, each claiming a piece of her. Emily's mind raced, trying to remember any way out, any past clue. The shadow reached the center of the room, its form finally visible, dark and twisting. And in that moment, Emily realized she was no longer alone in the house. Emily stumbled backward, heart hammering, as the shadow filled the room with darkness. It moved silently, yet the air vibrated with its presence, heavy and suffocating. She tried to scream, but her voice was trapped in her throat, strangled by fear. The whispers circled her, rising and falling like waves crashing in a storm. She lunged for the scattered letters, hoping they held some clue, some protection. One letter landed in her hands, trembling as she unfolded it slowly. The words inside were simple, yet carried an urgent warning. "Do not follow the light." Her eyes darted toward the hallway where faint flickers pulsed, teasing her curiosity. The shadow shifted, stretching across the walls like ink spilling into water. Emily felt a cold grip on her wrist, pulling her toward the center of the room. She resisted, heart pounding, legs trembling as if they were made of lead. The whispers grew louder, forming broken sentences she could almost understand. "You cannot leave, not yet, not without me." Her mind spun, memories flashing in chaotic bursts. Her childhood, her mother, the night she fled. The shadow advanced, darkness swirling around its form, almost alive, almost human. Emily stumbled over the bed, knocking letters to the floor in a scattered mess. Her hand brushed one letter, cold and brittle, as if the paper itself was frozen. The whispers became a cacophony, voices overlapping, each trying to claim her attention. She pressed herself against the wall, breathing ragged, eyes darting for any escape. A flicker of movement at the window caught her eye, pale light slicing through the storm. She ran toward it, hope flaring, only to find the shadow blocking her path. It was taller than any person should be, and its edges blurred, impossible to define. Emily's stomach churned as she realized the shadow mirrored her every move. When she moved, it moved. When she stopped, it stopped, breathing in rhythm with her own. She grabbed a chair, swinging it wildly, but it passed through the darkness like mist. The letters on the floor shifted, as if blown by an invisible wind, forming a path. Emily hesitated, knowing the note's warning. "Do not follow the light." But something inside her, A stubborn, desperate part compelled her to step forward. The shadow recoiled slightly, almost hesitant, as if it feared her next move. Emily followed the letters, one careful step at a time, each movement measured. The whispers softened, almost contemplative, like a predator waiting for her mistake. She reached the doorway at the end of the hallway, a faint glow spilling into the dark corridor. Her hand trembled as she pushed it open, expecting terror, but finding stillness. The room beyond was empty, save for a single candle flickering weakly on a table. Emily approached it cautiously, heart still racing, unsure whether to trust the calm. A sudden cold gust swept through, extinguishing the candle instantly. The shadow surged forward, faster than she could comprehend, surrounding her completely. Emily fell to her knees, hands covering her face, fighting panic and despair. The whispers merged into a single voice, chilling and clear. "You cannot run from me." Her mind screamed for a way out, but her body felt trapped, immobile under unseen weight. Then a small voice inside her whispered back, urging courage, urging defiance. Emily opened her eyes, staring into the darkness that seemed endless. She realized she had one choice: face the shadow or be consumed forever. A trembling hand reached forward, confronting the darkness with fragile courage. The shadow paused, as if surprised by her boldness, then hissed like a storm breaking. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing louder than the whispers. She braced herself, knowing the confrontation had only just begun. Emily forced herself to stand, shaking, legs unsteady, facing the darkness. The shadow hovered, shifting, almost alive, tasting her fear like a predator. Her fingers trembled as she clenched the letters tighter, searching for strength. The whispers circled again, soft now, coaxing, mocking, testing her resolve. She took a deep breath, forcing her racing heart into a slower rhythm. The shadow pulsed, almost sensing her courage, hesitating for the first time. Emily stepped forward, small but determined, refusing to let terror rule her. The air thickened around her, cold pressing on her skin like invisible hands. "You cannot escape," the voice murmured, smooth, chilling, almost human. Emily swallowed her fear and answered aloud, voice shaky but defiant. "I am not running, not tonight, not from you." The shadow recoiled slightly, darkness rippling like water disturbed by a stone. Her words echoed in the room, bouncing off walls, defying the oppressive silence. A soft glow emerged from the letters clutched in her hands, faint but steady. Emily noticed the glow formed patterns, almost like a map of the house. The whispers softened, blending into one coherent voice, hesitant, almost pleading. "Why are you here? You shouldn't be here," it hissed, tension in every word. Emily shook her head, eyes scanning the room for any clue, any advantage. "I'm here to end this, to face it, to understand what happened to my family." The shadow hesitated again, swirling, twisting, form unstable for the first time. She stepped closer, ignoring the icy pressure crawling up her spine. The letters vibrated in her hands, warmth spreading through her fingers. Emily realized the glow came from her courage, from her refusal to cower. The shadow's whispers became fragmented, confused, struggling to maintain control. You shouldn't be," the voice stammered, fatting with uncertainty. Emily pressed forward, voice rising, shaking the walls with her determination. "I won't let you fright me anymore. I'm taking my life back tonight." The shadow pulsed violently, a wave of cold knocking her back slightly. She stumbled but didn't fall, gripping the letters like a lifeline. Light burst from the papers, growing, filling the room with sudden brilliance. The shadow recoiled violently, shadows writhing as if burned by the light. It let out a low, horrifying scream, echoing off the walls, vanishing slowly. The whispers dissipated, leaving silence heavier than before, yet freer somehow. Emily sank to her knees, trembling, the glow fading, replaced by soft candlelight. The letters lay still, peaceful, their warning and guidance complete. She finally exhaled, lungs burning, realizing she had faced the darkness and survived. The room felt warmer now, almost alive, as if breathing with her relief. Emily looked around, noticing the details she had missed before, small signs of life. The storm outside began to fade, rain tapping gently on the windows instead of pounding. Her chest ached with adrenaline, but a sense of clarity settled deep inside her. Emily knew the house held secrets, but she was no longer afraid to face them. The shadow had retreated, diminished, waiting perhaps, but powerless for now. She rose slowly, letters in hand, ready to step into the rest of the house. Tonight had changed her. She was no longer the frightened girl who fled years ago. Emily took a steadying breath, glancing toward the staircase with new resolve. She understood now that courage could ignite even the darkest corners. Her journey wasn't over, but for the first time, she felt in control. The house exhaled around her, heavy with past horrors, yet open to the future. Emily moved forward, heart steady, ready to uncover what had been hidden. The shadow had tested her, but she had proven stronger, unbroken, unstoppable. Emily moved through the house cautiously, letters clutched tightly in her hands. The shadows had retreated but still lingered faintly, restless and watching. She ascended the staircase slowly, each step creaking under her weight. Her eyes scanned every corner, expecting movement, expecting the unseen. The hallway stretched before her, dimly lit by the glow of the letters. She entered her old bedroom, the one untouched since she fled as a teenager. Dust floated in beams of weak light, disturbed by her careful steps. The bed sat neatly made, as if waiting for her return, unchanged through the years. Emily placed the letters on the desk, their soft glow illuminating her face. Her fingers traced the edges of a photograph lying among the papers. It showed her family, smiling moments before everything fell apart. A sudden memory hit her, sharp and vivid, of her mother whispering a warning. "Some secrets will only reveal themselves when you are ready," she had said. Emily shivered, but felt a strange sense of purpose growing inside her. The shadows seemed to sense the shift, gathering uneasily at the corners. She turned toward the closet, hesitant, but determined to face every fear. Inside, she found remnants of her childhood, forgotten toys and old clothes. A small box lay tucked behind the larger items, dusty but untouched. Emily opened it carefully, discovering more letters and a key inside. The key was old, worn, and strangely warm to the touch, unlike the rest of the house. She held it in her hand, realizing it must open something important. A soft whisper echoed, gentle now, almost guiding her. "The truth waits below." Emily understood it meant the basement, a place she had avoided for years. She descended slowly, heart steady, gripping the key as a lifeline. The basement door loomed in front of her, dark and foreboding as ever. She inserted the key into the lock, twisting it slowly, feeling the resistance give way. The door creaked open, revealing a room shrouded in darkness and silence. Emily stepped inside, letting the letters glow illuminate the space. Old furniture lay scattered, covered in dust and shadows, memories frozen in time. She noticed a small chest in the corner, its lock matching the key perfectly. Emily approached it, heart racing with anticipation and fear. She inserted the key, turned it carefully, and lifted the lid. Inside, she found journals, documents, and photographs revealing family secrets. Her mother had hidden them, fearing Emily might not understand until she returned. Emily read through each page, piecing together events that had been buried. The truth was painful, but it explained the darkness that had haunted her life. She realized the shadow was connected to the family's past, to unresolved mistakes. Emily felt a mix of grief and relief, understanding the legacy she had inherited. She gathered the journals and letters, deciding to face the world with knowledge. The shadows receded further, almost respectful, recognizing her newfound strength. She climbed the stairs, carrying the weight of truth but no longer burdened by fear. The storm outside had passed, leaving the house calm, washed clean by rain. Emily stepped onto the porch, breathing deeply, feeling the night air against her face. The house seemed alive now, quiet but watchful, holding its secrets gently. She knew her journey was only beginning, but she was ready to confront it all. Emily walked forward, letters and journals in hand, stronger, wiser, and unbroken. The darkness had tested her, but she had emerged determined, resilient, and fearless. She glanced back once, seeing the house serene, finally at peace, as if thanking her. Emily smiled faintly, stepping into the first light of a new beginning. Her story was far from over, but she had reclaimed herself and her family's truth. Emily stood on the porch, letters and journals clutched in her hands. The house behind her was silent, shadows gone, secrets laid bare at last. She breathed deeply, feeling the storm's remnants wash away her fear. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of rain and new beginnings. For the first time in years, she felt truly free, unburdened by the past. Memories of loss and pain still lingered, but they no longer controlled her. She looked toward the horizon, seeing the first hints of dawn breaking. A soft warmth spread through her chest, a promise of hope and courage. Emily knew she had faced the darkness and survived, stronger than before. The house had tested her, but she had reclaimed her life and her strength. She whispered a quiet goodbye, feeling both sorrow and gratitude entwined. Every step forward would carry the lessons of this night, heavy yet precious. Emily walked down the porch steps, leaving fear behind with each stride. Her journey was just beginning, but she was ready, determined, and fearless. The light of morning touched her face, filling her with clarity and resolve. She glanced back once, seeing the house serene, finally at peace, silent and still. Emily smiled softly, stepping into the new day, carrying her family's truth. The past would not define her, the darkness would not claim her. She was alive, resilient and unstoppable, ready to write the next chapter. And with that, Emily walked into the dawn, leaving shadows and fear behind.